Hi, and welcome everyone to another edition of the FTW podcast. FTW is a weekly WWE and TNA discussion where fans talk the wrestling world in all of its laughable glory. This is episode 228, recorded live on August 18th, 2014 on FTWLive.com. Tonight, we will be reacting to SummerSlam and the new WWE World Heavyweight Championship title belt. Plus, there's news and rumors, really, that Bully Ray is on his way out of TNA. How's that going to affect the Hall of Fame and the rest of the Impact tapings? All that in the week that was in WWE and TNA. With us tonight is Joe. Say hello, Joe.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and even children of some ages, hopefully 12 and up. We're explicit.
And Nick. Say hello, Nick.
Suplex, repeat. Suplex, repeat. Suplex, repeat.
Thanks, Max Headroom.
And, of course, you, the FTW Live chat hooligans. If you're listening live, say hi. Leave your thoughts and comments throughout tonight's conversation. If you're watching on YouTube, you can leave us a like. And on Twitter, use FTW Live. My name is Garvin. I'll be moderating tonight's conversation, but let's talk about some wrestling. We're going to start off with WWE. WWE is fresh off of SummerSlam, and we predicted pretty much the entire event except for the kickoff. We got wrong, but we'll talk about that in a moment. So just before we run down this entire thing, what was your favorite moment from SummerSlam?
Damn. I mean, the lumberjack match was awesome. Damn near the best lumberjack match I've ever seen, if not the best, because it was entertaining. They worked well throughout the whole thing. Maybe that spear RKO deal that went on with Reigns and Norton. Maybe that was Raw. Everything's blending together now.
It's hard to watch 6 hours of WWE 2 days in a row and try to figure out which is which. I get you.
It really doesn't make pay-per-views special anymore because they're the same amount of television time that Raw is.
Well, it's not even just the television time. You also have a lot of rematches, and they continue stories on Raw. So.
Yeah, and they also blur stuff together. Like, they advertise stuff for Raw during the pay-per-view, but they also do all the replays on Raw from the pay-per-view.
And don't forget, Nick, that the network is only $9.99.
Oh yeah, I think I heard that somewhere.
Let's take a step back real quick. Do you think those chants are real? That people are actually chanting $9.99, or is that all pumped in garbage?
Oh no, I think they're actually doing it.
Yeah. I mean, we've established that the WWE audiences are basically sheep at this point. So if you chant something enough times, they're gonna chant right along with you.
Well, the WWE crowd on Raw did something very fantastic. A little teaser. We'll get into that because that might be my win of the week, but we'll get to that in a second. So, Nick, your favorite part of SummerSlam?
There's a lot of competition for that for me. I think the thing I was most struck by was how great Swagger looked in this match. I wasn't expecting anywhere near that level of dominance, especially right out of the gate. I mean, he basically made Rusev his bitch for like 2 solid minutes. I'm actually rather surprised that it went the way it did. I really wasn't expecting Rusev to come out on top here.
I was. I predicted that one. No, it was.
I predicted that one.
I moved that we throw that match out because that was not a flag match.
No, it wasn't. You know what was odd? Lately, I don't know if you guys are aware, but I've been doing predictions for WrestlingNewsSource.com, and when we put these notes together for the show last week, it was like Tuesday morning, which gave like the full description of what a flag match is, which is what you guys talked about. But by Tuesday night, no, it wasn't Tuesday night, it was Wednesday morning. By Wednesday morning, they had completely like stripped that entire description out and went with what they did, which was just a regular match. except for the winner raises the flag, which is what happens after every single Rusev match. So
I'm glad they gave it a little bit of time after between changing it. I thought they just changed it like last minute.
no, it was. I think it was at least Wednesday morning. Yeah.
Okay.
But okay, so for me, I think my favorite part of SummerSlam. I know there's some people in the live chat talking about the whole Brock Lesnar John Cena match as far as just how Brock Lesnar destroyed Cena. For me, though, I think probably my favorite match overall was AJ versus Paige. I thought it definitely delivered everything that I was hoping for. I think they got an appropriate amount of time. Sure, you'd like more, but to tell the story that they were telling, and to finally see Paige get like that one over on AJ, I think overall like that's the best story going on right now. Outside of Ambrose versus Rollins, but I do have some issues with that lumberjack match, but we'll get to that in a second. All right, so the kickoff match. There was quite a few matches that we talked about last week. A lot of stories that were kind of up in the air and possibilities for match. I think we went through and we predicted at least four different matches. All of them made perfect sense, I think, outside of the Sheamus versus Slater line that we have there. But no, they skipped all that. They didn't go with anything that made sense, and they went with RVD and Cesaro instead. RVD obviously won because he's no job Rob, and yeah, your thoughts on this match? Do you think this kicked off SummerSlam appropriately?
The match itself was excellent. Cesaro just looked like a Swiss death machine with all those freaking uppercuts. I'm very displeased with the result. RVD doesn't need a win, regardless of where it is on the card. And I suppose if you really want to dig for it, they did have that brief mini feud when Cesaro was still with Heyman, but that's been dead for ages, and it just doesn't make the least bit of sense, especially when they're just going to be used as lumberjacks later on. I don't think... Was Sheamus one of the lumberjacks?
Yes.
Okay, I must have missed him, but I don't understand how I did, given that giant
he's white and
pasty...
orange.
Yeah.
He's a creamsicle.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't understand how they basically just use it as a throwaway match to stroke RVD's ego.
Joe, what do you think?
There actually is one match that I did miss. I didn't catch it.
Word. And I think that was totally fine. There's a lot of people that missed the opening match. I missed it until this morning. I actually watched it after I watched SummerSlam, and the thing is that yeah, I just don't like, out of all the matches that they could have booked, that seemed to be thrown together. And yeah, it's nice to get Cesaro on a pay-per-view, and the match was rather good. It's again just like, what is it doing to help build Cesaro? And I can't see how that really helps Cesaro at all. Especially when we're at a time when it's like we all were expecting Cesaro to be something big by this point, especially after WrestleMania, and he's still kind of like hovering here. Now he's like kickoff filler material, and it's a real shame. But it is mostly a shame because he did lose to RVD.
Yeah. Now, with all this said, we talked about the other matches that we predicted that make more sense story-wise. With that said, there was a argument on the Facebook group about the tone of the pay-per-view overall. Deuce specifically brought up the point that it felt dark. And with that tone in mind, RVD versus Cesaro makes... It fits with that theme more than anything else we predicted, like Bo Dallas versus R-Truth or Fandango versus Diego. Those are essentially comedy matches. And Yeah, it's a kickoff. It's not necessarily SummerSlam proper, but any bit of comedy interjected into the whole theme of we've seen our heroes get crushed almost to a man. This is basically, if they're telling a three-part story, this is Empire Strikes Back. All hope is lost. And to just see El Torito headbutting Fandango in the jewels one more time, that kind of conflicts with that overall theme. So the match itself of RVD versus Cesaro, that fits.
Yeah, coming from that perspective, I guess I can see it. I mean, I could see a possibility for an Usos tag team championship match versus the Dust Brothers or Rybacks or whomever. But yeah, as far as that tone goes, yeah, I think you're right. That even though it does feel like filler, I think it fit overall. But let's just jump right into the main card. We started off with Miz going up against Dolph Ziggler for the IC Championship, and Dolph Ziggler won. Shocked all of us. Do you guys think this is the push that we've wanted for Dolph?
I don't know if it's necessarily the push that we wanted, because it's low down on the card. It's fucking Miz. I don't know. Like, they had an idea for Miz, and that was probably the most entertaining thing going in this feud, because they haven't done anything with Ziggler in forever, so he's pretty much lost all character other than he's like a Kofi Kingston. He's the generic guy. He can work well, but that's about it. I don't know. I need to see more personality coming out with Ziggler to see if this push is going to do anything other than languish in the mid-card. If that makes sense.
No, it totally makes sense. Ziggler at this point, he's gotten, as far as his development goes, he's gotten stale. Obviously, he's amazing to watch in the ring, and just about every match he knocks it out of the park. But being able to work like a madman only gets you so far in the WWE. They're not like ROH or PWG or TNA to an extent where you could just be a wrestler and not really have that much going on in the character department and still be a top guy. I mean, look at Bobby Roode. Like, for so long, he was just an incredibly competent technician, and he was pretty high up there for a long time. It took forever before we saw any real character development from him until he became TNA World Heavyweight Champion and became the It Factor. That doesn't happen in WWE, except on a very rare basis, like with a Brock Lesnar. But even then, you got Heyman advocating for him, so that almost doesn't even count there. If Ziggler wants to get anywhere beyond a mid-card title, he's got to advance as a character beyond cocky dude, vaguely suggestive. If this was the 50s, he'd be banned right alongside Elvis on cable TV. He's got to get beyond that.
Joe, do you agree?
I can agree.
I realize I was rambling a while there.
That's fine. Ramble away, my friend. Ramble away.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm also feeling kind of odd about it. I mean, this is obviously what we would have wanted, generally speaking. I mean, we want Dolph Ziggler to be in that major spotlight, and the IC title is a major spotlight, especially now that they've dropped one of the world titles. So, but I got a, I don't know, not necessarily a similar feeling overall about Dolph that he needs to improve. I totally agree with you, but that's not what I was thinking when I was watching the match. But when I was watching the match and I saw the ending, like, yeah, it was nice, but it just didn't carry that same vibe that we've had for Dolph Ziggler as of late. It didn't feel like this is it. This is finally Ziggler getting that push. This is it's almost like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, I don't want to buy completely into this until we know for sure that Ziggler is actually going to get everything that we think that he has earned or deserves or whatnot.
I think he's got to work himself up to the point where he does deserve it again. I don't think we need a little more.
Yeah, he needs to stop talking about how he does deserve it and start acting like he does. He needs to put words into action at this point.
Sure, but again, that's story based. That's not something that he can just do all the time. It would require some kind of writing change. Hopefully, that's what this is. Hopefully, they do open it up that he gets back to where he was when he had the world title. When he was in those big main event feuds. But I'm still nervous about it. I'm still not ready. Still not ready to buy in. Moving on from that was my match of the night, AJ versus Paige. Paige took back the Divas Championship. Do you guys, first of all, what do you think about the match? And second, do you like how this story is progressing?
The match itself was excellent. It's easily one of the best matches of the night. I really enjoy the physicality that Paige not only brings to a match, but also inspires in a match. Because we've talked about how physical her matches have been. Be they against Naomi, Natalya, AJ. Those three characters, they normally don't get violent, basically. Like, you'll see a mean streak, and with AJ, you saw the unbalanced character. But AJ kicked off the match by biting Paige's hand. Like, that's not something we usually see. That's something we never saw until Paige came up and started interacting and getting into these feuds. And I really enjoy that about what Paige is doing in the Divas division. I enjoy that she's mixing things up. As far as the story goes, I like the story that Paige and AJ are telling. I don't like the way that story is being presented by the WWE, especially through commentary. Because what Paige and AJ are telling in this story is it's a cerebral game of one-upsmanship. They're trying to see who can get in each other's head the worst. Whereas Cole, Lawler, and JBL, they're just boiling this down to two crazy bitches just absolutely hating each other. And really, don't all women really hate each other? That kind of attitude that they apply to every Divas feud, it's insulting. And I can't believe that the Divas backstage are just willing to put up with it, like, to a woman. I really hope the day comes when that just stops.
Joe? I'm sorry, I just got lost in Nick's pro-feminism rant. No.
All right, JBL.
Damn it, Moggle! I do like what Paige and AJ have been doing, and I think you're right. They're trying to do more of a cerebral thing, and obviously, yes, announcing is just like, yeah, they're fucking crazy. Yeah, wow, well, puppies, bring back the. Oh yeah, they're crazy. Yeah, they're just. That's all they keep focusing on is that they're both crazy. And you're right. They need to do something. The announcing team needs to do something a little more to vary it up and to really push the fact that this is a cerebral feud. Despite the fact they're doing great in-ring work, it is totally. Damn it, Moggle! It's totally cerebral. That's why I can't do anything about it because I'm JBL.
Yeah, we just need Renee Young on the main commentary team so badly.
I'd give her something to be on.
Yeah, I like that idea as well. I could definitely see Renee doing better. However, I am starting to appreciate the gifs that keep coming out for Jerry Lawler. Like, there was.
Did you just say GIF?
I said GIF. It's a
I
GIF.
hate you.
Damn it, Maggle.
I don't want to get into that conversation. I'm tired of that conversation. Whatever.
You said it. Now, which side of the fence are you on?
I could go either way, to be honest.
Okay.
I play on both sides of the base. All right. Let's talk about where this is potentially leading, and I know this kind of leads into the Raw conversation because it continued, obviously. But there was talk before about we would love to see this being going into a street fight or a cage match. But after SummerSlam and after this week, it almost feels like that's going to be the reality, that we are going to get one of the higher end stipulation matches. Do you guys see that as well? Do you think that's the direction they're going to go?
I really hope that's the direction they're going to go because these two workers deserve it. They deserve to do something that they don't allow the Divas division to do, and hasn't since was it Lay Cool against Natalya and I forget who the other one was.
Beth Phoenix.
Beth Phoenix, thank you. When they did that tables match, that was a phenomenal match, especially for the Divas.
Right.
I'm looking for them to do something a little more hardcore than what they've ever done before. Yeah, give them a tables match. Give them a cage match. It doesn't have to be Hell in a Cell, like some people pushed, but a ladder match. That would be fantastic. Give me a ladder match for these two. They will blow the roof off. I guarantee it.
Yeah, these two are definitely workers far and away above the caliber that the WWE is used to dealing with. Like when you had Natalya and Beth Phoenix, you could get away with doing something a little more physical, like a tables match. Even with a team like Lay Cool, Michelle McCool was not the best wrestler, but she was definitely a cut above the rest. And Layla, well, at the time she wasn't really anything to speak of. But still, 3 out of 4 women in that match, they could definitely pull it off. Paige and AJ the same way. I like the idea of a ladder match. I think these two could really do something special with a cage match. The way I see it going personally would be some manner of submission match, an I Quit match maybe. Just given the fact that these two have such amazing submission moves in their arsenal.
Yeah, I like all that too. And Joe, you mentioned, maybe it's not a Hell in a Cell kind of thing, but at the same time, like just looking at the schedule, October is Hell in a Cell. December is TLC. It would be really cool if the Divas, especially AJ versus Paige, extends to either of those pay-per-views and actually use those types of matches. Don't necessarily see it, but still would be pretty cool. Moving on from that, we've got Rusev versus Jack Swagger. Jack Swagger lost, which meant that he passed out. So Swagger didn't tap out. He passed out. This is 2 pay-per-view matches in a row where Rusev doesn't defeat Swagger via pinfall or submission. Before it was a count out. This one it was him passing out. So Night of Champions, do you see that being the end of it, or is this the end?
No, this is going to continue. I would definitely say Night of Champions, if not going further.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning toward it going further. As high as I was on Swagger before talking about his. But as complimentary as I was of Swagger before, I don't really like the result in that it already happened once. Swagger got knocked out with the ring post, and now he passes out in the Accolade. I'm ready for some advancement here. On the other hand, I'll leave it at that. I won't get into Raw with this, but yeah, I figure that they're going to want to stretch this out some more.
Um, I don't think they're going to do any more with Swagger Rusev. It was an all right match. But, with Rusev winning, and then after following it up on Raw, where both guys kind of seem to go their separate ways, I think this is kind of done, which is a bummer because I don't think they finished telling the story. For this flag match.
Yeah.
This match has been pulled in so many directions. I mean, it was a bad idea from the start. It should have just been like a submission match. That would have been fine. But, when they initially said it was supposed to climb up the pole and grab the flag and... Pepper. Yeah, I don't... It was just... They're just gonna show the flag? Well, that's stupid.
Yeah, and again, like I said before, it was basically the end of every Rusev match ever.
Right.
Is they show the flag. And there's the national anthem. Okay. But outside of that, do you guys think this was Rusev's best performance in WWE so far?
Definitely acting-wise, he sold the shit out of that ankle lock.
Yeah, he did really well. I was very, very impressed with what he did. It showed that he may be going farther than what I initially expected, which was to shortly, within the next 6 months, become the Great Khali.
Yeah, I'm glad you were wrong with that. But definitely just the facial reactions, especially when he finally had him. When he finally had him in the finisher, the accolade, like it was as if he was crying because he was in so much pain. I just thought that was epic. Like you don't see that often enough. That heavy of storytelling. So yeah, I definitely think that was his best. I think that was definitely his best performance so far, and I hope that's a good sign for things to come. All right, so after that, Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins. Joe, you said this was your favorite match of the night, the Lumberjack match. Seth Rollins wins.
This was definitely the most entertaining match of the night, I think.
You don't think it was too chaotic to be the best match? I'm sorry, the match of the night?
No, because I think that's the kind of thing this feud needed. And when they said Lumberjack match initially, I was like, oh, really? This is going to be stupid because it's going to get to the point where they're just all feuding in the ring and something stupid's going to go on. And yeah, it kind of got that way. But I think these guys worked it the best way they could. It was nice that they had the chaos where they actually were not in the ring and up in the stands, and the Lumberjacks just like, whoa, fuck it, until they got told to go get them. I mean, that was entertaining.
I don't know. I feel like that part where it just spiraled out of control. I started thinking, what's the point of even having a Lumberjack match if they're not going to keep them in the ring? If they're going to let them go out in the stands and not do anything about it? Kane did come out and kind of rope them back in and kind of not really restored order, but actually made it to where they actually were in the ring like they were supposed to. But I can't really call this match of the night because there was such a big block of time where it felt like it was just spiraling. And yeah, that does fit within the mythos of the Rollins-Ambrose storyline, but the whole point of a Lumberjack match is to contain the action, and why have that if you're just going to let everything explode and fly all over the place?
I think it goes back to other Shield matches, where Rollins was jumping off the balcony there and diving into Evolution. There's that chaos that just came with the Shield. And I think when you've got two guys who are in the Shield, I think that chaos needs to continue. Because these two guys are so very chaotic. I mean, obviously Dean Ambrose, that's the gimmick now. And Rollins has been just flying everywhere, so he's crazy as shit too. To me it worked. If anybody was going to get that crazy, it had to have been these guys.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, looking back at how the Shield seemed to work, this did make sense. It needed to be chaotic. It needed to be them, breaking rules to get at one another. And I think in that sense it was more acceptable. The whole lumberjack match, that stipulation felt a bit awkward, but now knowing and seeing like how they actually work that in, especially the whole Kane involvement, where he came down and basically yelled at them for not keeping it inside of the ring. I think everything worked out very well. Story-wise, this was a great match, but I think it wasn't necessarily what I was hoping for as far as between Rollins and. You still got me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, give me 1 second. Edit note. I lost half of my room.
Yep, nothing's pre-taped here, folks.
Okay, that was weird.
Just
Make an edit note. 38, 40. Yeah, I lost like half of the room, like my fan's off, and okay. Anyways, I don't know what I was saying, so I'll just fade out there.
That'd be an interesting fade out.
But yeah, overall, no, I think it worked. I think I was really hoping to see Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins, what they could do in the ring. It seems like they're depending a lot on this chaos and all of the external stuff outside of the ring. Obviously, using the lumberjacks out in the crowd. I want to see what these guys can do in the ring, and we didn't get that. That's all. But hopefully, we do get that soon. Maybe Night of Champions. Maybe they extend this out to Hell in a Cell. Hell in a Cell would actually fit very well with these two guys because this would keep them by themselves inside of the cell.
Well, considering WWE's history with cage matches, no, the cage by itself isn't going to do that.
I would like to see them do men wrestling in a lumberjack match, but put the lumberjills up there just for fun.
Well, it was brought up in the live chat, but definitely props to Damian Sandow for actually dressing like a lumberjack.
I've seen so many complaints about. I remember the days when lumberjacks used to wear flannel.
All right, so from there we had Jericho versus Bray Wyatt, and Bray Wyatt won. That was what we had predicted. Just overall quick thoughts on this match.
It was great. This is exactly what Bray Wyatt needed. Not just because he needs a clean singles win, but it epitomized his character, I think, the best out of any match he's had prior to this. Other people have said it. He's a backwoods psycho, and his wrestling style fits that. His character is that, and he just beat the tar out of Jericho. He didn't wrestle Jericho. He beat the living shit out of Jericho, and that's what we needed. So I was very happy with this match.
Yeah, it's just something that Bray needed to do. Bray did it. It gives Bray a bit more new ground to stand on. He totally worked it within his character. It wasn't like he did some weird, crazy thing that was out of or just seemed like cookie cutter. He was brutal in that match. The Sister Abigail into the wall. Beautiful. I like that we're seeing this viciousness come out of Bray in these matches. Where he spends all this time manipulating the mind and then just follows it up with destruction in the ring. Great. perfect, awesome.
Yeah, I also enjoyed this match. I think the Bray Wyatt win was definitely the better of the outcomes. Just trying to think of like where it goes from here. Do they have a third match? You know, we seem to be having like these long-term booking for a lot of these feuds. AJ versus Paige, Rusev versus Swagger, Jericho versus Bray. You know, will this extend to a third match? But either way, the SummerSlam match was very good. Up next, Brie Bella versus Stephanie McMahon. Stephanie won thanks to some outside help. Nikki turned on Brie. That was something that we had talked about before. It happened during this match. It's definitely what we were expecting. But did you guys like how it went down overall in this match?
Yeah, I was a little bummed that it actually went the way that everyone had predicted with the Nikki turning thing. I was hoping that was going to be something that followed up on Raw, like that Brie would actually get the win. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But I think they worked well. I think Stephanie actually pulled it off in the ring. Although the chance of "you still got it," I don't think they were necessarily deserved. I didn't think she had it back when. But yeah, I think it was a good match. I think they both worked well. I think it's some of the best work I've seen out of Brie.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, like we did expect this match to be bad. You know, Brie Bella is not the best worker ever, and Stephanie has been out for 10 years, and before then, she was pretty awful in the ring. So, like overall, like this went above all of our expectations, right?
I would think so.
Yeah. Before, like last week, I wasn't high on this match at all. I was very sour about them introducing the whole cheater bit, and it seemed like they just kind of stumbled on to what got me interested in the first place. They didn't plan it. Fortunately, it seems like they just hit a little bit of a stumbling block. They just got too ambitious with what was a pretty cut and dried storyline at the end of the day. And yeah, we didn't really get swerved or anything, but I'm perfectly okay with that. I like the idea of the sibling rivalry boiling over into an actual divide between the two twins. And yeah, this was a better match than I ever expected, even when I was actually looking forward to it. I didn't expect Stephanie to hold her own the way she did. I wasn't really expecting Brie to incorporate that much of Daniel Bryan's moveset. If she keeps developing the way she is over the next 6 months, I don't think we'll even miss Daniel Bryan, because we'll basically have him in female form.
Oh, I can't imagine the beard she's growing right now.
Just reading the live chat, Robert said, Brie versus Nikki reminded me of Brett versus Owen.
I saw that comparison, and
one of them's gonna die soon.
Oh God. Yeah, there are two different levels to this. Like, technically speaking, obviously, this is no Brett versus Owen, but yeah, in the vein of one sibling resenting the other, yeah, it basically is the same angle.
Styles Clash in the chat. The goat and the clam. Yeah, I went there.
Okay. I can't make that comparison as far as Brett versus Owen, but I'm interested in it. I think for the most part, this is where I was hoping it was going to go. I was hoping we would get this instead of Stephanie in the ring, but now that we're getting it now, I think it can lead to other things, and we hopefully won't get such a dominating Stephanie McMahon as far as her always being on TV, taking up main events and stuff. I hope that we can move on to something a little bit more productive and quality wrestling, content. So, but overall, like for me, yeah, this match I thought was halfway decent. We had very low expectations. Obviously, it was above those expectations because it wasn't full of botches. But yeah, overall, I don't know. I just never was really feeling this match, and it was okay. But I am looking forward to Brie versus Nikki. I think it will add a nice flair to things, and hopefully, what it might always lead to. And I wish Harrison was here, but Daniel Bryan versus John Cena. Cena turns heel.
What? Okay, that's why you wanted Harrison here. I'm like, that's the first time I've ever heard you say you wanted Harrison anywhere.
All right, moving on from that, Roman Reigns versus Orton. This was basically Roman Reigns' first major singles match on a pay-per-view. He won, which is something that most of us predicted. For the last few months, it's really been heavily suggested, regardless of where you're reading, if you're reading Wrestling News Source or Bleacher Report or whatever, somewhere online, there's always a group of people talking about how Roman Reigns is going to be that next big face that WWE is putting him into a position to take over when Cena is gone. So overall, this was his first major singles match on a pay-per-view. How do you think it went?
I think it went really well. That was a great match. Dare I say, it was probably one of the best Randy Orton matches I've seen in the last 5 years. Randy did extremely well. Reigns did fantastic. I think they worked really well together. I hope the best for both of these guys, and I can't believe I said that when we're talking about Orton. This shows that both guys can work well, and both got me excited.
I wasn't impressed.
No.
No.
What the fuck is wrong with you, Nick?
It wasn't a bad match, but it didn't. For me, it didn't take a lot to see the holes here. And I've seen a lot of people say that about Reigns' performance, but they also talk about how Orton carried him in this match.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that was the case. I think Orton reverted back to face Orton, or at least as face as he ever got. He went to the tried and true spots that he does, and to be completely fair, when he went back to those spots, the snap power slam, the RKO counter, those look great. But you can't carry a match with one or two spots. And everything else, it just seemed slow. It just looked like it was full of rest holds and Reigns punching and kicking, and maybe I'm letting my reaction to him reverting to face Orton color my perspective on the match too much. I mean, for God's sake, heel Orton, the top heel in the company, mind you, right now, he appealed to the crowd for a pop right before he went into his little temper tantrum for the RKO. I can't express how much that annoys me. To just see the heel, like I said, top heel, appeal to the crowd. And commentary can paint that as mocking the crowd all you want, but that was blatant appeal for a pop. Because the crowd just did not care at that point. Again, not a bad match, but I wasn't feeling it.
Interesting.
Garv, you're the tiebreaker.
Yeah, as far as like annoying things, what had me annoyed by this match, and pretty much all of Roman Reigns' match since the Shield broke up, is it seems like they're really trying to go the John Cena booking route with this guy, where you have this guy who can beat anyone. He's got the size and the ability to destroy anyone in his presence. Any match that he goes into, he can win. We all know that. But for some reason, they always book him, just like they booked John Cena, as like this underdog, as in like this guy who maybe he's going to take a beating for a majority of the match, and maybe he'll pull it out. Who knows? But you know he's going to pull it out. I think that's what has me annoyed by Roman Reigns right now, is that they're taking what they did with Cena that we hate, and they're trying to apply it to this guy, and it's just not appealing. The match quality, though, for this, I thought was good. I like this match a lot. I think Roman Reigns did well, but I do tend to agree with people in the live chat and Facebook, everywhere. It's where, it did feel like Orton was carrying Roman Reigns at different points. All the big spots depended on Randy Orton. Roman Reigns, as far as his spots go, like what is there? Like his outside the ring jump thing that he does, his jump thrust kick, like that's his big major spot. Everything else, all the other big pops on the match were Randy Orton. So
yeah, to me, another beef I had with the match was there didn't really seem to be any psychology to it. Within the first 2 minutes, there's a superplex. That we all know how Orton has just devalued that move to no end, but that's still a signature move that is a match ender. And here Orton busted out as his first big move of the match. It just didn't make sense.
Okay.
All right, fine. It's gonna beat me down for.
All right, and that leads us to the main event: John Cena versus Brock Lesnar for the World Heavyweight Championship, and Brock Lesnar destroyed John Cena. It was probably one of my favorite John Cena matches of all time because he was just thrown around like a rag doll and had like little to come back with. It was just. I don't know. Before I get into like my whole thought, do you guys think that the way they made this match, it made Brock Lesnar too dominating, too unstoppable?
Not necessarily. I mean, this is where we should have been the first time they had a match. We should have seen that destruction from Brock Lesnar. Because now, I mean, yeah, the smarks are like us. They're going to be sitting there going, yeah, I remember when Cena actually had an offense against Brock. Like they're trying to almost erase the fact that they've feuded before. And I don't know. I don't think it was too much. Well, I take that back. Maybe it was a bit. I think Cena needed to be destroyed like he was. I just think that it builds them into a position where they don't have anywhere to go. Because no one's going... If Super Cena can't beat Brock Lesnar, who's going to be able to beat Brock Lesnar but diverticulitis?
I really like the way they did this match, and no, I don't think it was too dominating, because we have gotten confirmation. Triple H has posted that there will be a Brock Cena rematch at Night of Champions.
Right.
But I don't foresee Cena coming back from that. I don't foresee him taking the titles back. I think this is where we get Cena's replacement. And whoever steps up to Brock and actually manages to slay the Beast Incarnate, I think he will be the next top guy. As far as the match itself went, I loved it. I figured Lesnar was going to win. I never expected Cena to just get destroyed on that level. It was simply inspiring to see German suplex after suplex after suplex after suplex. And that Undertaker spot Brock did, that was amazing. This is literally one of my favorite moments in wrestling. Just the way he sat up, whipped around to Cena, and just starts laughing. Again, that is just inspiring. And on another level, WWE didn't plan this in the least. contrary to what some people in the IWC are saying. But that little kid that just kept chanting, "Let's go Cena," and even when there were "Let's go Cena" chants throughout the arena, he was still doing his own little thing. I think that added a whole nother level to the match where just as Cena continues to get destroyed, just continues to get demolished, you hear that one little voice of hope, just holding out hope against hope that Cena will do what he always does and never give up and actually manage to pull out a win. And somebody actually posted a picture of this kid after the match. He's just completely despondent, like face in his hands, completely broken.
And we're laughing at this kid who's dejected and broken.
Well, it's not that we're laughing at the kid. It's a great reaction. This is the type of reaction that you want your crowd to have. It's being able to single out, different people in the crowd, just like they did with the Undertaker when the Undertaker streak was broken. All those people were just in awe. It's the same thing here. Like, you have the John Cena fans, and singling out one or two people in the crowd like this, it just accentuates the story. It's like the Miz girl. Remember the Miz girl? And it was just like that face when Miz won, and that helped tell the overall story. So I think it's fantastic. For me, watching it was awkward. I felt like the entire thing was awkward, but after I was done, just taking like a step back and, just so you guys are aware of my timeline. This morning I watched SummerSlam. This afternoon I watched Raw. And, just seeing how they were, telling the story of Lesnar after SummerSlam on Raw, this whole thing just felt like super legit. Like, just look at how they built up this. It wasn't how like wrestling feuds are normally told. Just the style of the video package was very UFC style, back and forth dialogue. It was telling more of the emotions involved and why, basically like, just reminding us of what all Brock Lesnar has done and why, he can surely dominate in a match against John Cena. And then just to see that happen, I don't know, just the style of everything. It just felt like we went from a wrestling storyline to like obviously it's still a wrestling storyline, but for me it just felt like more legit. Like, you have like this real dude, this real fighter, this UFC fighter or this amateur wrestler, this great unstoppable guy really doing that in the WWE. And we haven't really seen that a whole lot. And I thought it was just a nice touch. I thought for overall this felt like a legit thing, a legit match, a legit just progression of how dominating Brock Lesnar is, and I think it totally fits well. But 16 suplexes, that is rough. Like, just watching that back, if you guys have a chance to watch back Cena taking those suplexes, like, that had to be probably the most painful match John Cena's ever been in.
Yeah,
I like to imagine the German commentary team just cowering under the table after seeing that many suplexes, just witnessing their god in all its glory.
Do you think they call it a German suplex?
I have to imagine that they do, just so it has a label.
Or our suplex.
Yeah.
Do Europeans call the European uppercut a European uppercut, or they just call it an uppercut?
I don't know, because like French toast, that's
where the fuck is Lee? The one time we need Lee.
Martin, answer the question.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry, I just loaded up the picture of that dejected kid, and I lost what I was going to say. But did you look at Brock, though? After giving, it's like body generally normal color, maybe a little bit lighter or a little more red because of the impact. Then you got to his head. He looked like a fucking tomato. from doing all those Germans. You know, just the lifting and throwing. My God, I thought his head was going to explode.
Yeah, well, and definitely, like, you know, German suplexes, you normally see the guys jumping for it. Cena was, like, I think, like, at times, like, he would jump, but then Lesnar would hesitate and then put him back down and then go. Yeah, I don't know. I like the match. I think it added, like, some realism to this. Like, of course, Brock Lesnar should destroy John Cena. But, you know, I don't know. It's probably a one-time thing. We'll probably see John Cena come back at some point. I don't know if Night of Champions is going to be it, but definitely like Hell in a Cell or closer to the end of the year.
Well, according to the live chat, Triple H actually came out and said Night of Champions.
No. I know the match is going to happen. I'm just, as far as when John Cena comes back and takes the title back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I actually don't think Cena's going to take the title back, but that's just me.
Okay. Well, overall, quality pay-per-view?
Definitely. It was definitely one of the better pay-per-views I've seen in a while.
Yep.
Okay. Let's go over picks real quick. This week's picks. Joe, you had 4 correct. Nick, you had 5 correct.
But
And I had 6 correct because it's how I roll.
Still think the flag
That's how
match
you-
is thrown out.
edit the doc afterwards to change your picks.
uh,
I mean, you weren't on last week to put in your picks, so.
I put them in beforehand. I remember you guys saying Garvin got his picks in time, and you read them out loud. So, and we can go back and check them.
I don't need chicken.
But that takes our totals. I'm just going to start from the top 3 because that's all that matters. Joe, you've got 28, and Nick and I are tied with 39 correct picks for this season, which started at WrestleMania, or actually after WrestleMania. Okay, so we ran super long on talking about SummerSlam, so we're going to try to rush through the rest of these WWE topics. The first one, along with the new champion, we've got a new title belt. So on it, it's got the new WWE logo, but it's pretty much the same as the last WWE Championship. So overall, your thoughts on the new belt? Do you like it?
Fuck rhinestones.
Okay, yeah, given that. I like it that, you know, it just doesn't have the logo and the champion. You know, they added the World Heavyweight Champion. It just, to me, it gives a little more impact. Not TNA impact, just impact. And finally updated with the new logo. Meh.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm okay with it as well. You know, there was some complaints throughout the internet that, you know, they took away the nameplate, so you no longer can have your name on it. But they transitioned that anyways to the side, so that you've got 2 side plates now. So I don't know,
Yeah.
it's nitpicking overall. But if I had to change one thing, it would be the black background. I think I would prefer a gold background.
I actually like the look of the belt that Rock introduced, the one they had prior. Yeah, obviously they needed to change the new logo, but I just like the more, I don't know, serious look to it, not overdone. Because like I said, the rhinestones is just it just makes it look like the Wonder Woman logo at that point.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I mean, it's not something that you have seen before, which is a good thing. I mean, if you look at Impact, their World Heavyweight Championship versus the WCW World Heavyweight Championship that WWE was carrying for a while, very very similar. You know, you've got like the big round gold belt versus what WWE is doing now with the black background. So I can see that, you know, it is setting them apart. It does look serious and official. You can even look at the UFC title belt. Those are very, very similar along the same lines as far as, you know, that round gold or round title overall. So yeah, I don't know. I'm okay with it.
I just don't like the big gold belt. And I see people posting online like, that's the best looking belt. I think it was hideous. in my opinion. It was just this big old hunk. There was no style to it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of with you. Like the big gold belt was that it was big and it was gold, but you really couldn't tell like the detail of anything from from a distance or even close up. Like there was no like real detail to it.
Right. At least, I mean, like with the Winged Eagle. I mean, that was one of the best titles ever made. That had a black strap to it, and it helped enhance aspects of that belt. One thing about that belt, though, there was no nameplate. It just said Wrestling Champion.
Yep, I'm seeing it as well. I just pulled it up. Yeah, I mean, I definitely like the Winged Eagle as well. They also had the blue globe behind it, which was a nice little touch there. So.
It's better than the rectangles that we saw earlier on.
Yeah, totally. New tag team showed up this week. Big Show and Mark Henry. Quickly, do you think that has legs? Do you like it?
That's a whole lot of man meat in one ring, especially on one side of the ring.
I kind of like the idea of that team, and it's something that they trot out every now and again. Like whenever these two happen to be healthy at the same time, they usually throw them together at some point, either as a feud or as a team. And then I don't know, Big Show's got to cut weight for some reason, or Mark Henry gets injured, or something keeps happening to split these two up. And I don't think this really has legs, just given the fact that on the same night that they were trotted out again, Mark Henry comes back out and just dominates Rusev. So I don't know what they're doing there.
Yeah, I don't like the team. I think Big Show and Mark Henry. I don't know. It's mostly I just don't want to see Big Show in that spot. It seems like anytime they can't figure out what to do with Big Show, they throw him into a tag team. You know, they did it with Kane, they did it with Jericho, they did it with Miz, they did whoever. It seems like they always throw Big Show in with someone else to do a tag team, and it's never completely successful. They might go for the title, they might hold the title for a little bit, but overall, it's not entertaining. But yeah, speaking of Mark Henry, and just like you said, Mark Henry took out Rusev this week. So, what about that possibility? I know we're going to get Big Show and Mark Henry a few more times this week. I think it's already booked for main event. Possibly is booked for SmackDown as well. But overall, like Henry versus Rusev. We also have Swagger versus Bo Dallas. Do you think that they're trying to separate the Rusev versus Swagger thing, or do you think this is just like an in between pay-per-views, mini feuds going?
I think they've split them. I don't think they're going to continue them. I don't know. I don't know why they're doing it. I don't know why they might not like what's going on right now, that they had to split it. But it definitely seems like they're just parting them. There's no rhyme or reason to it.
Yeah, if this is what they're doing, it doesn't make sense, given that Rusev super kicked the hell out of Zeb. Like Swagger has all the motivation in the world now to go after Rusev, and they bring out Bo Dallas to taunt him after a throwaway match against Cesaro, no less. I don't know. There's just no direction to this, and it's really weird.
Yeah, overall, I'm with you guys. I think overall this is like just some mini feud that they might throw in to pass the time. There's no way that they can really separate Rusev versus Swagger. They've already got a solid story there and a story that everyone is already behind. So yeah, I think overall, I think overall, like while this is nice and this will help kind of steer the story, at least for Swagger's part, like Swagger versus Bo Dallas, I think will be a nice story to show like how Swagger is overcoming losing, letting his country down, letting his fans down, and all that stuff. I think overall that'll be a nice touch as we head into Night of Champions. Okay, well, let's speaking of Night of Champions, we're going to be previewing that on on Tuesday, September 16th, which is FTW232. Night of Champions occurs on September 21st. So far, right now, we've got Brock Lesnar versus John Cena. That match is official, according to Triple H on Twitter and Instagram. So, yeah, overall, a lot of repeat matches we might see, like an AJ versus Paige, Rusev versus Swagger, maybe Jericho versus Bray Wyatt, Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins potentially, maybe even Miz versus Ziggler. I don't know. So there's potential for a lot of rematches, but obviously it's not of champions. So hopefully they fulfill the point of that show and actually have all champions on and defending. That'll be really nice. Just because tag teams and the U.S. Championship has been kind of swept under the rug as of late. So anyway, let's move on to some TNA conversation. Hardy Boys versus Dudleys happened once again, first time in over a decade. Do you guys think it was worth the wait?
Yeah, definitely. This was. I don't want to say it looks like they haven't lost a step, especially with the Hardys, because I mean that they've gotten a lot better than they were in the intervening time, but they can't really match what they used to do, not to the same degree. But yeah, they definitely made this work for them, and it was nice to see the Team 3D and the old school gear. It was a very quality match overall, definitely worthy of the hype associated with it.
Joe?
I didn't see it. That's why I write it in the chat.
I know, I'm sorry. All right, so yeah, I thought it was very, very much worth the wait. I thought it was a good match. I really wish I had the possibility of seeing this in person, but this was taped the night after. But yeah, I thought it was good. It was good to see them, using the retro gear. I thought that was a nice touch. However, at the same time, it's like, they didn't have to do that. They could have just retained the fact that this is Team 3D. These are the Hardy Boys, which both have been in TNA, within the last 5 years. So, like, you didn't have to. I don't know. It was just odd. It was an odd reach to something that happened 10 plus years ago when really it wasn't necessary. But it was a good match. I really enjoyed the match. Speaking of the Dudleys, Bully Ray, his contract is up in mid-September, and there has been talks, basically some reports and rumors coming out that Bully has approached the locker room, basically saying, my contract's running out, and it doesn't look like things aren't going well as far as negotiations. I might be leaving. So if that's the case, like he said his goodbyes and everything, overall it doesn't look fruitful. It doesn't look like they're going to reach a deal with Bully Ray. So if he is in fact on his way out, would you consider his departure being a bigger deal than AJ Styles?
If he is on his way out, and that is a big if, because I don't believe this is as cut and dried as PW Insider is making it out to be. I think comments are being misconstrued. I think Bully Ray would have been saying, if this doesn't work out, I just want to let you know that I've really enjoyed working with you guys. Because this is apparently the same meeting that he and John Gaburek assured the locker room that TNA was just fine. So I don't think he would follow that up immediately with, "Oh, we're fine, guys, we're fine. Oh, by the way, I'm jumping ship." I don't think that happened. But considering the possibility, if Bully Ray were to leave, I don't think it would have the same impact that AJ Styles did. Bully has been an integral part of TNA for a little while now, but TNA could definitely survive without him. It would suck that he'd be gone, but if TNA can move on and do as well as they've been doing without AJ, they can do that without Bully too.
I mean, they can move on. I mean, there's no doubt about that. They're going to have to. It's inevitable. But I think it's actually more damaging to TNA at the moment than when AJ Styles went. Because at that point, there was nothing, absolutely nothing that AJ could do or had to do in TNA. He has done everything in TNA. So when AJ left, it was like, okay, well, you know, things didn't work out well, you know, with whatever contract stuff. He's gone. Okay. But there really wasn't anything else for him to do. Bully Ray, I think, still has things going on. Plus, he, you know... Wow, holy shit. So it's the same thing. Get into a feud with Dixie when your contract's running out, and there goes your job? Because that's what happened to AJ, right? The Claire Lynch deal?
Well,
that was right before he left. All the home invasion shit.
no,
I just remember one of the last times we saw him.
Technically,
Not
Claire Lynch
even
was
close.
different. Yeah, technically, Claire Lynch was months before that, but yes.
yeah, that was the start of a 2-year angle. That was like well before the point where AJ actually left.
No, okay. It all after Aces and Eights, everything blurs together.
Yeah, I can understand.
That really did fuck the time-space continuum.
Yeah, with Bully, I see what you're saying as far as there are still things that Bully might do, but none of them would really match up to what he's done. Take over TNA and rule it with Iron Fist as the president of the Aces and Eights, be World Heavyweight Champion, put Dixie through a table. The only things he really hasn't done is be TV champion so he can be a Grand Slam champion. And there is no TV title right now, so he couldn't really do that if he wanted to.
X Division.
That would be a hell of a transition. The way I see it, Bully's resolved what he's been doing. They put Dixie through a table. That storyline's ended. They haven't pushed him in a new direction yet, so at this point, if he was to go, we wouldn't really be missing out on anything. Like, there wouldn't be any loose ends to wrap up.
Well, I'm gonna disagree. I mean, the thing is, we know that Bully has basically been working backstage as well. He's not just working in the ring, but he's helping the booking community. He's working as a road agent. He's kind of have his fingers in different things, trying to keep TNA doing well. So you wouldn't just be losing an in-ring guy; you'd be losing a backstage guy. And as far as his in-ring stuff goes, I mean, he was basically he was your world heavyweight champion for quite a long period of time. He was basically the head of Aces and Eights, which ran rumshot over TNA for a year and a half, 2 years almost. And then he was just involved in like this major story with Dixie Carter. And he's basically like your top face. Bully is your top face right now. So to lose Bully is a big deal. AJ Styles, really wasn't. I think AJ Styles was a big deal just because of the name value, because of who he was and what he meant to TNA as far as being that original guy. Being like the backbone of the company, as far as our perception goes. But Bully, just how he's been treated on TV, I think is a much bigger deal than AJ. And at the same time, don't forget he's going to be inducted in the Hall of Fame in October.
Yeah, that is true. But AJ went out as the top face. I mean, he was taking the fight to Dixie. He was spurning Magnus as a paper champ. He was fighting Bully Ray too. He he was Sting after Sting was gone. Like, when Bully stepped up as top face, he was essentially filling AJ's shoes because of the way Dixie screwed him after he helped with AJ. He helped put AJ away. So, I mean, AJ and Bully are, in a lot of ways, in kind of the same boat as far as their spot in the company when they either went out or are rumored to be going out. And I'm saying that with as much as you associate TNA and AJ together, people really don't do that with Bully Ray, despite the fact that he's basically a TNA guy now.
Mm-hmm.
Has been for years. But people don't think of it that way. So I think that perception is going to not help.
Outside people who aren't really following TNA anymore don't see Bully Ray as a TNA guy.
Well, people that follow TNA too don't really see him that way. I mean, it hasn't been that long ago that it just blew our minds that he's been in TNA longer than ECW and WWE put together. So, I mean, it should be common knowledge, and it's readily available, but
you're right.
We just don't think about it.
The only other difference that I can think of is, it was obvious that AJ was upset with the company. It was obviously AJ was not happy with how things were going with Dixie, and obviously the Jeff Jarrett whole departure of the company hurt AJ and his willingness to really want to negotiate with the company. The company was, sure, TNA was trying to offer him a lower contract than he probably earned or deserved, but still, it seemed like there was less willingness from AJ, especially if you listen to the shoot interviews that he did, that he was really less interested in working with TNA moving forward. Bully Ray, on the opposite, has always been super positive, regardless of where he's interviewing. Sure, the question about could he ever return to WWE type of thing, like that always pops up, and he always answers it honestly, but he's always very positive about TNA and his relationship there. So because of that, I mean that to me also makes this a big deal if he leaves TNA.
Sure. And that same outspokenness is the biggest reason I don't buy the way PW Insider is telling the story, because he's always had that reputation as an outspoken guy. He doesn't care who he pisses off, he's going to tell you what's what. And I just don't believe that if Bully Ray's planning on leaving, PW Insider is going to be the first to report it. I think if Bully is planning on leaving, he's going to say it.
Sure, but is he going to say that before his contract goes out? I don't know. I agree. It's weird how we get like these little bits and pieces of information from backstage, which should be staying backstage. But it is also awkward, like if he is in fact leaving, and I think it was like mid-September, it is odd that we're getting, like he's having this speech now and not closer to that end. So, okay, let's move on from that. This week, Low-Ki has earned the X Division #1 contender shot after defeating the rest of the division in a scramble match. Are you looking forward to Low-Ki versus Samoa Joe this week on Impact?
Yeah, it should be a fun match. These two obviously have a lot of history. As soon as Low-Ki came back on TV, he made it obvious that even though nobody had really been decided for the final title match, he was considering Joe his biggest rival in that pursuit. So it seems obvious to me that they want to push this feud for at least the next little while, and both these guys can go in the ring like you wouldn't believe. So this is going to be an awesome match.
I agree. I think out of all the X Division Championship matches that we've had in recent years, this one is the top of the top for me. Low-key versus Samoa Joe, it just seems perfect. It's exactly what we wanted. First of all, to see Samoa Joe in like a championship picture, I think that's awesome. And to me, he always delivers very well. And low key, he just adds that nice touch. He's just such a different wrestler type. It's like so unorthodox and stiff, very Japanese-esque, and that's so different in the American market. So, but speaking of TNA overall, we say this week. Well, this week is changing. It's not Thursday anymore. We are going to Wednesdays now. TNA Impact Wrestling is on Wednesday. You think that's a good idea?
I don't necessarily know how much business sense it makes for TNA to move to Wednesdays, and I'm not saying that disparagingly. I just simply don't know. On the surface, it seems like it might be a good move because when you think about what's on Wednesday night TV, you don't really come up with too terribly much. Like, there's not really any major sporting events going on, and there's not any wrestling going on either as far as the mainstream product goes. So I think TNA can make this work for them. And on a personal level, I'm just glad that I don't have to choose between Impact and NXT anymore.
Yeah, I would agree completely. Well, with the fact that you don't have to choose between Impact and NXT. Now you can just do the NXT thing. It's smart for TNA to get off that time slot because of the NFL. There are games on Thursdays, so that's one less thing they have to be concerned about when trying to target the male audience. I mean, granted, Spike, so they expect to have all the men, but yeah, I think it's a smart move, and lets wrestling fans check out everything they need to.
Yeah, I like the move to Wednesday. You always hear, like, I don't know, there's always the pessimism coming from different sources in the IWC and wrestling news sites in general, but Wednesday is rarely ever used. I think main event, WWE main event was the first to use Wednesday in a long, long time. It always got like a negative connotation to it, like Wednesdays are just never good for wrestling events. That's why they rarely ever used Wednesday. So I don't know. I think there is room for some negativity there, but for me personally, I like it. I like that there's some space there. Monday we have Raw. Tuesday we've got the podcast. Wednesday we've got TNA. Thursday we have NXT. I think I can now fit everything into a weekly schedule without needing to move something to like a Saturday, which is what I've been doing for NXT. So, but yeah, overall I think this is good. We're going to speed through the rest of these TNA topics. Let's do some quick hits. You've got 30 seconds apiece to talk about or to respond to these topics. First up, Anderson versus Gunner versus Sam Shaw. Do you like how this has gone so far, and how do you see it ending? Nick?
There was a brief period of time this past week where I was starting to get a little sour on it because I'm not really interested in Anderson and Gunner fighting over Shaw. But now it looks like tomorrow we're going to see Shaw fight Anderson. And I like the idea of Shaw proving himself to Anderson. I like the idea of Shaw beating the shit out of Anderson for turning on him the way he did. So, yeah, overall, I do enjoy this angle.
Joe?
So far, I like it. I do like Sam Shaw, so I like they're using him again. I don't like the fact that Anderson's wrestling still. It's that thing where he's there, then he gets a match where he gets booted out of town. Then he's there, then he gets booted out of town. It's just a broken record thing that I think they're just going to end up keep doing. It's going to happen again. Probably in 3 months he'll have to have a match where he's booted out of town.
To me, I liked Anderson when he was in Aces Nates because that was like the tail end of his contract, and he was obviously working for his contract. And then ever since then, I really haven't been into it. Yeah, I don't know. I do like where this is going. I like Gunner, and I like Sam Shaw. Anderson is the odd piece out for me, and I hope this ends up being Gunner and Sam Shaw turning on Anderson because they should have done this a while ago. It seems the obvious, thing to do. All right, moving from that, beautiful people may or may not be breaking up soon. That's a good thing, right? Or do you guys think I'm being too hopeful of where this is going?
I think you might possibly be letting your painting of Velvet color things a bit, but I do like the teasing of dissension in the ranks. I like the fact that Angelina can't really count on Velvet as a given for support against Gail or Taryn, whoever is in the way of her being a 7-time Knockouts champ. It just makes things a little more interesting.
The fact that you say we may or may not have them break up soon, is it a good thing? Which side is a good thing? Them breaking up or them not? I hope the good thing is that they break up and maybe Angelina Love can not work for the company anymore. I cannot stand her whatsoever. I don't like her as a face. I don't like her as a heel. I don't think she wrestles well, which is really sad because I think Velvet's the better one, and I think Velvet's doing a not a great job. Angelina Love, it just to me has been just bad. Something about me, I don't like fucking dudes, but not that I've tried it, but not that there's anything wrong with that. That being said, I'm not a big fan of William Regal. Maybe this is in the same vein where there's just something that it doesn't click with me that clicks with other people. I can't stand her. I hope they split up and then she goes away. There. And that is the Garvin Stomp. Doesn't work as well for me, but
yeah. Diva Jill in the live chat is pointing out she has an opposite viewpoint of Velvet than I do. Yeah, Joe, the whole idea that Velvet is somehow the better one of any combination, it boggles my mind. But at the same time, I almost agree with you because, I think Angelina coming back, I really had high hopes for it. I thought, having Angelina there, Velvet Sky with the beautiful people, I thought that was all going to work, but instead, to me, it hasn't. So if they break up, fantastic. If they both get canned after this, super. Okay, but overall, to me, I think this is going to end up being some kind of feud. So very, very similar overall to the idea of how they break up all tag teams. Tag teams break up and then they feud for the next couple of months. But yeah, overall, I think this is a good thing. And they should definitely do it and get rid of both of them. All right, James Storm, manipulating Sonata. Are you digging the brainwashing angle so far? Nick?
Yes, absolutely. I really love this storyline. I like this new angle for Storm, being just the devil on Sonata's shoulder. I like the way he's just breaking Sonata down to his basic components and rebuilding him in his own image. And I like the fact that Sonata has lost the anime hair. He's just natural hair color now. I'm looking forward to seeing where this is going.
He's no longer Super Saiyan?
That is correct. He is no longer a character from Bleach.
It's definitely an interesting angle for Storm. I think his character needed a new bit of development, and I think this is an interesting way to go. As far as Sonata, I haven't taken a whole lot of Sonata, so maybe it'll help build an interesting storyline there.
Yeah, I like that they're trying something new with James Storm. I don't necessarily think it fits generally with how they've built him up in years past, but overall, they are trying something different with James Storm. Which was needed. It was needed. I think, whether or not they're building up James Storm versus Muta or Sonata versus Muta, I think this is generally a good way to do it. It's not just the student turning on the mentor at the last moment. It's there's a reason for it other than the student thinking he's better than the mentor, or that he's sick of the mentor's way of things and he thinks he can do it better. It is a different way to look at that type of story, and I like that. So Abyss versus Bram in a Stairway to Janice match, or like how I think of it, the winner gets to hold Janice closer. Do you like this? Do you like this feud right now, and like how they're presenting it with Janice as being this chess piece?
Well, wouldn't it be the loser gets Janice closer to them?
No, they're fucking crazy. They want to hold Janice.
Yeah, they want to hold Janice and squeeze.
Well, I'm saying they're going to swing it into the other person. They're going to hit them with Janice. So nails into the flesh. That's what I'm going at. So far, it's okay. It's definitely given Bram something to do and a way to set him apart from looking like James Storm. That's
I've gone on record, seems like every week, about how much I am loving Bram right now. Like I said, he's fucking crazy. Nobody ever really thought that Abyss would have somebody that could contend with him on a hardcore level. Well, now we've got Bram. And I also like the fact that this is giving him a way to be someone other than Magnus's childhood sidekick. This is giving Bram a chance to really develop his own character. And Magnus has just become an afterthought, which is not necessarily the best thing for Magnus, but we got a year of him in the spotlight. I think he can afford to take a step back while Bram really comes into his own.
Yeah, overall, I'm interested in it. I don't necessarily like the story itself, but I do like how Bram is like this brash guy, this guy who is very hardcore tendencies, vicious, and going against another guy that we know has those same tendencies or used to at one time, and that is Abyss. Abyss used to be that guy, so bringing Abyss back to that with a guy like Bram, I think overall that's attractive to me. So, and thus far, I mean, the matches that they've had have been good. They've told very good stories. Not the best technical matches ever, but overall, they are telling good wrestling stories. So. All right, so that was TNA. TNA again is moving to Wednesdays now. So different night of the week, something for you guys to change your schedules for. Definitely. If you haven't watched TNA in the past live, you should definitely do it, and hopefully Wednesdays fits in your schedule. But right now, let's move on to some Ask FTW. Ask FTW is a way for you guys to steer the conversation. You can send us your topics. Over Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. You guys know how to get a hold of us. You can even reach us through ftwpodcast.com. Just send them in. Use the hashtag AskFTW as well. That definitely highlights it for us, so we know to pull that in. First one comes from Benjamin, and I'm not going to read this one in its entirety, but basically what Benjamin was asking was, does it feel like TNA's product has been better over the last few months because WWE's quality has upped itself as well? Or do you guys think that WWE all of a sudden is just looking differently at their own product because TNA is doing better?
I think there is some validity to the idea that the WWE is stepping up its game because of the New York tapings. Um, we've all made the point that competition makes for better quality. We saw it in the Monday Night War. We've seen it with ECW and WWF. That's basically where the Attitude Era came from. The popular concept, the popular opinion is that the WWE doesn't even notice that TNA exists, but there are things out there that basically give that idea the lie. If you listen to Jericho's podcast with Chael Sonnen, Chael got a call from the WWE to say, well, we're not interested, but we hear TNA is, so if they give you an offer, we want back in the game. And even without that in mind, I can definitely see the WWE looking at TNA doing so well in their own backyard and thinking, yeah, we've got to step our game up too. So in that respect, I can see where Ben is coming from. I think there is some validity to that.
This entire time I've been trying to process this, and I wasn't paying attention, Nick, so I apologize. Because I was just trying to get my thoughts in a row on this, because I mean, TNA's product has been improving over the last couple of months. That's true, and the New York shows have definitely helped. Maybe it's just the fire that's in the New York crowds that's really helping, and the venue, with the wrestling history that the venue was carrying. Does it have anything to do with the resurgence of WWE's quality? Not necessarily. I don't think outside of SummerSlam that they've necessarily raised quality right now. But that's because they seem to be going in one direction, and it's more formulaic on the whole than what we were used to back in the Attitude Era, or that region. I hope WWE starts looking at their product differently, because I think they need something. They need another spark. They're getting it out of like Ambrose and Rollins, Reigns, Bray Wyatt. They've got a lot of good young guys, and it's just getting them to the point where they're allowed to break the molds that they're being cast into. I think is what I'm looking for out of the WWE.
Yeah, I don't see the comparison here. I don't see the legitimacy of this comparison, because the thing is that outside of SummerSlam, it was a good show overall. The following Raw, also good, also entertaining. But you could say the same thing about like Battleground was a decent pay-per-view. Pay-per-view before that we really liked, but overall consistency-wise, WWE hasn't been doing good. We can't just say WWE is now good because SummerSlam was good. WWE has been on the decline for a while, and you could even trail it back to before CM Punk left. Like that's the last time. Like when CM Punk was on the rise or involved in like these heavy stories, that we were all pretty much unanimously into the WWE product. You've got good matches, sure. There's some good parts of WWE, but there's not a consistent good part of WWE. It seems to always be up in the air of when they're doing good. TNA, on the other hand, TNA is doing fantastic stuff, and I know we got criticized on WrestlingNewsSource.com. We got criticized on YouTube a bit for this, but they are telling better stories. They're having better matches, and you can tell from the crowd reaction that they are doing better for their audience. You can't say the same thing for WWE. WWE still gets the CM Punk chance. WWE still gets the overall commentators chance and everything else that goes against what they're seeing on TV. TNA, on the other hand, is not getting that. Sure, you have some yes chance, but that could be applied to what TNA is doing. CM Punk chants can't be applied to what TNA is doing, and that's not what they're getting. So, overall, I think TNA is doing good. WWE needs to look at it, but I wouldn't say WWE is on a resurgence of any sort. They're still so inconsistent that at times it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch WWE. And I think it's not just me saying that. That's a lot of people in the Facebook group. You can see the Facebook chats for Raw declining as far as the number of people that are in it, as well as the number of comments that come in. A lot of people are feeling the same way, that WWE is not doing what they need to consistently. Hopefully that changes, but yeah, I don't know. So just throwing it out there. Lou on Facebook asked, who will challenge Bork for the title, and will they take the same beating or worse than John Cena?
We've got a lot of options. I could see them pushing Reigns up to that realm, being that he's a bigger guy. Maybe they're going to put somebody else in that position first. Reigns could be a guy to challenge Brock, and I don't think win. I think well, I take that back. I think that he will not win if they have a shot of Daniel Bryan coming back in the near future. If not, I foresee them. I foresee someone like Reigns, because he's a bigger guy. He's a bigger built guy that might be able to stand up to Lesnar. Because right now he's a fucking juggernaut. He's a juggernaut, bitch. What do you do?
Yeah, there are a few different names that I've seen tossed around and I think makes sense. Obviously, we got the Cena rematch, which I think is a foregone conclusion at this point. But we've also got the possibility of Daniel Bryan coming back and toppling Lesnar with a David versus Goliath story. A lot of people are tossing around Ambrose now as a serious contender to Lesnar. And given his quality of work lately, I wouldn't discount that in the least. I'm a big proponent of Cesaro being the one to topple Lesnar. And yeah, given his booking as of late, he's just being booked abysmally right now. But when he does have the moment where he comes out on top, he always looks good. Commentary raves about the man, and that's saying something considering how they're always putting themselves over and not really paying attention to a match. But it seems like they can put that aside for 2 seconds and actually pay attention to Cesaro and put him over. They call him the Swiss Superman. I think there is a lot of... I think there's a good case to be made for Cesaro being the one to take down Lesnar, especially given the past relationship with Heyman. It makes a lot of sense from the storyline perspective. It just remains to be seen if the WWE can put aside the fact that they didn't build Cesaro from the ground up and just go with the flow.
Yeah, I'm unsure on this. Reigns seems to be an obvious choice. I love the idea of Cesaro being the guy to topple Reigns, but as far as the question goes, who will challenge Bork for the title next? Or not next, but, well, I guess it was next. It'd be next, but still, who will challenge him for the title? I think we're still overlooking one name that would be really awesome, and would make sense in the fact that it is still within public opinion that Brock's contract says that he can only work like certain pay-per-views a year. So, and that's Seth Rollins. What if after Night of Champions, after the match, Seth Rollins comes down and cashes in? I think he would be the only guy in that position that could challenge Brock Lesnar, in a match technically, but not be destroyed. Because Brock's going to.
But there's that meme where he's just like, "Fuck it, I'm going for the Divas title."
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, I saw.
Because I can't imagine anybody looking at Brock Lesnar outside of someone like Cena going, I'm going to challenge that motherfucker.
I saw another one, and he's standing there saying, anyone want to buy a Money in the Bank title briefcase?
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that's going to challenge him is that WCW giant fucking monster truck, right? From the Hogan giant monster truck battle.
Yes.
Yes, that's the only thing that's going to have a chance of taking down Brock Lesnar.
Corey brings up a possibility that I hadn't previously considered, but Drax the Destroyer, I think, could take on Brock Lesnar. And of course, I'm referencing Batista. Corey brings up a good point. He hasn't gotten his one-on-one rematch yet.
Yeah, I could see Batista getting in there. Can I see Batista winning, though? No. I mean,
I don't think he'd win, but...
Yeah, and this goes back to our previous conversation, you know. Was Brock Lesnar's beating of John Cena too dominant? too much? And I think it almost is, because it's hard to have these conversations, because knowing that Cena is your top guy and has been your top guy for a while, and seemingly no one can really get one over on John Cena, yet he's like completely wasted by Brock Lesnar. It does make it difficult to look at anyone else as a legitimate opponent.
Well, I mean, we all know how the WWE loves a good comeback story. I mean, that's essential what they did with Daniel Bryan. I mean, it looked incredibly unlikely that the Authority could ever be toppled, that they could ever stop screwing Daniel Bryan, but there he went. And, I mean, I don't see any reason they wouldn't do the same with Brock. They're going to make him look like the ultimate badass in the process, but, I mean, somebody's got to take him down eventually. Or I mean, he just smashes everything in his path, there's no opposition left, and he just, fuck this, I'm bored, I'm just going to drop this, you guys do what you want with it.
No, I can't see that. I can't see
No
that
way.
happening. But let's just briefly talk about Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is obviously an option. Can you see Brock holding the title up until whenever Daniel Bryan gets back, which would be December, January, that area?
Sure. I mean, he's going to be absent for like at least half those pay-per-views in between, so why not?
Yep.
All right. Let's jump into win-fail. Joe, what is your win of the week?
I've got two. The first one being Nick's Swagger High joke reference, Dealey, earlier in the show, because that was smooth. And Ambrose, when he dumps the water over Rollins' head, the ice water, Rollins turns and looks and goes, "What? It's for charity." All those stupid videos online where people are doing that. No, I don't think the cause is stupid. I just think it's stupid that you're dumping water on your head to support it. That's like posting the color of what bra you're wearing if you're supporting curing breast cancer. It doesn't help anything. If you're actually putting forth the money, then it does. Put forth the money. Pull a Charlie Sheen. Just give the fucking money. Don't dump ice water on yourself for attention. Just give the fucking money. But yeah, Ambrose doing that, hilarious. Awesome.
Nick, your win?
I thought pulling a Charlie Sheen would be donating tiger blood, but
Well, did you see the clip where he took the he was trying to make look like a giant pot of water. He dumps over his head and just money falls out.
No, I didn't see that. The whole ice bucket challenge has kind of been on my periphery, but yeah, I did enjoy that spot. Only Ambrose can mix charity and psychotic violence and make it look good on TV. But since Joe put that as his win, I'm gonna go with Heyman's promo. It goes without saying that'd be a win, but I enjoy it when he just goes on loop, suplex, repeat, suplex, repeat, suplex, repeat. When anybody else does that, like when Booker T goes into his five-time spiel, it just sounds pretentious and arrogant and incredibly lame. But when Heyman does it, he just has so much passion that he puts into his voice that you just get sucked into it. So that was just simply awesome.
All right, wins from the live chat. We've got Hardys versus 3D. Some more wins for the whole Ambrose Rollins segment, like you said, Joe, but also their match at SummerSlam and their match last night on Raw.
SummerSlam anniversary.
Yeah. My win of the week is going to go, and I don't think I've ever said this before, positively at least. The WWE crowd last night on Raw, when they were cheering, it felt like unanimously for Ryback. There was the Feed Me More chants, and we want Ryback, and as soon as Orton let Ryback into the match, the crowd popped, and it was fantastic, and I hope that's something that, continues. I doubt it, but
that's because that was a hometown crowd.
Yeah, that's never happening again outside of Las Vegas.
Oh, it's got to happen again. That was fantastic.
I wish it would, because I definitely popped for Ryback the Sailor Man, but...
Ryback the Sailor Man.
Because that singlet was awesome, man.
That was pretty pimp.
All right, let's do fails. Joe, your fail of the week.
My fail of the week is the Davey Richards leg break. Broke his leg, which is a bummer. So heal up, sir. And best wishes from the FTW podcast.
Seconded.
Okay, fails. Well, we moved too fast. There's no fails in the live chat yet.
Well, that wasn't necessarily my fail. I'm just seconding the well wish.
I was like, oh my god. All right, your fail of the week, Nick.
My fail is from the pay-per-view predictions. I'm calling it a fail that we're not wiping the flag match from the record book, because that was not a fucking flag match. Damn it, WWE. You've ignored that Vince Russo has existed for this long. You can pretend that he doesn't exist for a little longer and actually stick to your stipulation. Because there's no doubt in my mind that's why they wiped it, because of all the controversy with Russo and him bald-faced lying about being involved with TNA and being caught out by PW Insider.
Yeah, it does bother me. It does bother me that WWE changed the stipulation as they built it up. So it's again, it's like on Tuesday morning they were saying one thing, and by the time Wednesday hit, they had something completely different on the website, and I thought that was a damn shame. So yeah. All right, so fails from the live chat. Both of the Bellas promos last night. The Bellas acting on Raw in general. WWE forgetting how to do a proper flag match, like you said, Nick. Steph's dominatrix ring gear from SummerSlam.
Oh, that wasn't bad.
No, it wasn't.
I mean, they covered up that nasty breastbone issue that she had kicking. What happens when you decide you're going to work out after you put in triple Ds? Where it just looks like two giant orbs sitting off on her chest. It doesn't even look natural, and there's that veiny, stretched out skin in the middle.
That weird Sarlacc pit area.
Exactly. The Sarlacc pit.
Where her heart used to be.
Remember before the Undertaker tried to crucify her?
Styles Clash 10 in the live chat says, looks like a bat wing. It looks like a bat wing. Okay. My fail of the week. I guess my fail of the week, which I think is going to lead into some final thoughts, but just the overall situation surrounding Alberto Del Rio's departure from WWE, as well as like the entire scenario that's surrounding Rey Mysterio. And Nick, do you want to get into this now? You want to talk about this real quick?
Rey Mysterio, when did he get involved?
Well,
yeah, I guess we can.
Okay, so the whole Rey Mysterio thing is basically his contract was up about 6 to 8 months ago, but because he's been so injured and WWE wanted to play the dick card for some reason, they basically they put in an option on his contract. So basically, like, they re-signed him because he missed basically a full year. They re-signed him for another year or something. It's odd. I'm sure there was something written in his contract that would allow them to do that. Otherwise, it seems really, really dumb. But
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio wants out for the same reasons why, now that Alberto Del Rio is super negative about WWE. But there was, a scenario. Nick, talk about it.
Yeah, the scuttlebutt here, as far as Mysterio goes, is that there is apparently a clause in basically everybody's contracts where if you're out for so long, whether it's injury or what have you, if you're out for an extended period of time, they can keep you under contract for that period of time. Yeah, obviously it's not a common thing. Otherwise, we'd be seeing it a lot. But this seems to be one of those things where the WWE wants to hold on to a popular name and just not do anything, just so no one else can have him. As far as Del Rio goes, the story has been all over the place, and it seems like it's established now that what happened was the WWE social media manager, and I don't know whether he's the social media manager or just somebody on that team, but he's in that department. He was in catering, didn't clean up after himself. One of the catering guys asked him to clean up, and the guy turned around and said, "That's Del Rio's job." Well, that got back to Del Rio. Del Rio went to confront him, and he demanded an apology. And according to Del Rio, this guy walked right up to him and smirked in his face and said nothing. So Del Rio slapped him. And Del Rio saying that he went and talked to Vince. Vince said he understood where Del Rio was coming from, and apparently that was the end of that. And the next day he was suspended. Then he was let go. So, and apparently this isn't the first such incident with this social media manager. It's basically when Del Rio was first coming in, the guy just treated him like a dick. Acted like he wasn't there, said insulting shit behind his back, and is basically just being a real dick. So, yeah, this whole thing is a mess.
Yeah, and while Del Rio has now come out in interviews and basically like he's starting to allude to what took place. He can't go into full details, but he's basically saying that's what happened. You've got this rogue social media guy making racist comments to him, and while Del Rio is saying, I was wrong, I shouldn't have slapped him, but at the same time, it's like this stuff was known. Everyone knows this is going on, and there's no action against it. Like, this social media guy still has a job, Del Rio doesn't because he slapped him. It seems kind of odd. So, yeah, it's definitely a fail on WWE side. Okay, cool. We're gonna skip final thoughts, and we're gonna go ahead and close out the show. That is the show. You can go check out FTWpodcast.com for more information about us, how to get involved in the future, and join us live each and every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on FTWlive.com. For myself, Nick, Joe, and everyone in the live chat, we will see you next Tuesday. See you guys later.
Later, player.
Peace.